If a good man bores you, it may not mean that you don't have chemistry with him. It may mean that you're used to anxiety and calling it excitement. Boring may be calm because consistent men don't create those emotional spikes that inconsistent men create. So a man that is consistent, right? You know what he's gonna do. He's pretty much predictable because he's doing exactly, what he should be doing in the dating. Might feel blah, like, okay, like, where's you might be asking where's the excitement. That question comes because you're not being triggered. Fear is not being triggered. Anxiety is not being triggered. Uncertainty is not being triggered. Guessing about what he wants and what he's doing and you're not guessing. And so that calm state can feel boring. And what women sometimes call chemistry and these butterflies are really inconsistency, uncertainty, right? Because it's like, if I don't know if I'm coming or going, well, that's exciting. I feel like I'm riding on a roller coaster, right? And I'm not saying, and let me just separate this from, those initial feelings and excitement that you get from meeting someone new and all those things. That's different. If you generally find that consistent men are just boring and it feels blah, I want you to lean in, right? It's which is different from being excited that you met somebody good, met somebody wonderful. So when love is healthy, it might feel really easy in the beginning because in the past, you're used to love where there's a lot of work that's being done. Now, I'm not saying that love doesn't require intention, but in this case, you probably had to do more than you've ever done just to receive a little bit. So in the past, if love required you to work really hard for a man, to fix things, to wait, in the past it required all those things. A man that just shows up because he's a man of great character might feel boring, might feel flat, might feel like, something is missing. And so, but don't, be confused. I am not saying that attraction doesn't matter. It does matter. What I want you to look at, right, and really look into and see is, a consistent man that I'm calling calm, is he a function of dysfunction? What I'm saying is it's not about like not being attracted to the person, but it's also about releasing any addiction to chaos. It's not about wanting a man that you are not attracted to. That's not the goal, right? It's about really looking to see if the type of man that you wanted in the past was from a place of dysfunction, where unless it was chaotic, unless it was inconsistent, unless he was triggering you and making you upset, it didn't feel like passion, it didn't feel like chemistry, it didn't feel like love, it didn't have that passion to it. That's what I want us to really explore. So what I want to invite you to, right, what's available to you as you start healing this queen wound, because this is part of the queen wound, is just to give peace a chance. Give peace the moment and the time it needs so that you can also recalibrate, so that you can also readjust your lens, so you can also see what it feels like to have a peaceful relationship where things can be predictable. It's not that there's not surprises here and there, but where things are consistent, where you know where you stand. And when you do this, right, it gives you a moment to answer the most important question, right? One of the most important questions in dating, which is this man consistent, aligned with me? Do we have shared values, shared vision? Are we on the same page? Do we have the same desires for the future? Do we have the same goals for the future in terms of goals for the relationship for the future? It gives you a moment and a chance to really see clearly. It's really difficult when a man is inconsistent and chemistry and attraction is the only thing that you're making decisions based on. A man doesn't have to be explosive and all over the place, doing too much in order for it to be chemistry and in order for there to be attraction. I want you to begin to shift and give yourself a chance to allow peace, consistency, calm, right? A regulated nervous system to have its time in your presence so you can see what the other side feels like, especially if you haven't before, especially if it's not something that you're used to. That's what the invitation is all about, okay? So if you resonate with any of this, you're like, yep, I tend to pick the bad guy, not the bad guys, but like the bad boys. I tend to pick the ones that are inconsistent. I tend to pick the one that, I don't know if they're coming or going. I tend to pick the one that turns me on, like I'm very attracted to, but they're not settled. They're chaotic. They're all over the place. I don't know where I stand. I tend to pick the one that keeps me on an emotional roller coaster. If that's you, no judgment, no shame. You can let me know in the comment section, like who that, yep. I kind of have this queen pattern. This is how it shows up in my romantic relationship. Yeah, let's discuss there. And more importantly, I want you to subscribe. I want you to have access to all the conversation that we're going to be having around high achieving women attracting a healthy, loving relationship that leads to marriage. I think that the high achieving woman has a unique wound, which I call the queen wound, where most people just don't understand. They'll give you superficial dating advice about, just do this, and it's just not enough. Dating 100 more people, going on 100 more dates is not leading to meeting and marrying the right man, right? And even if you do meet the right man, right, is that relationship sustainable? Even if you do marry the right man, is that relationship sustainable? And so my goal, right, as a woman who's been married for 20 years in a healthy, loving relationship, as a high achiever woman, as a woman who has purpose and vision and degrees, and all those things, and 3 children, 2 adult, one 13-year-old. As a woman who has a lovely life, a full life, I want to make sure that on the loves category, that my other high achieving women, like the other women just like me, who have a big vision, who are called for more, when it comes to the love department, that love part, that romantic relationship part is satisfied. And I mean, from the top of your head to the bottom of your toes, completely satisfied. And I just, and I have these big visions, right? And I just feel like high achieving woman, like when you have a romantic man, a romantic partner that loves you for who you are unconditionally, thoroughly, you're never too much and you're never too little. You don't have to dim your light. You don't have to do any of those dances and, and squeeze yourself into a little box, and like just your full self is completely accepted. Unconditional love that he has for you. Unconditional love. He's so intentional when it comes to you. He wakes up thinking about you, kisses you all over the face and all these things. Like you just, just going on trips and experiencing life with your person. That is the greatest gift that I want you to give yourself through this process of, healing the queen wound and discovering, okay, what am I not seeing when it comes to a romantic relationship that I'm invited to see in this season? So if you're listening to this is an invitation to really look again and say, hey, the way I've been dating in the past hasn't really worked for me. There's a new way, and I'm interested to learn more about that. And this way is more about identity work. The work that we're gonna do is not about men. It's not about men. We're gonna talk about men, but I know as an identity coach, self-leadership coach, I know one of the things that I know for sure is whenever I needed to change something, and I started with myself, and I reoriented myself, and I healed parts of me and the triggers and the wounds and the unforgiveness and the shame and whatever I dealt with that within myself, that my expression, my attraction, what I was able to create, what I was able to build, how I was able to show up changed. And that's the invitation. It's not about the 100 ways to do it. And there's 100, that list goes on and on and on and on and on, and the outcomes haven't changed. And so what I know to be true is that if you change things on an identity level, everything you touch changes. Everything, the way it's expressed changes. And one thing you've nailed is your identity when it comes to career, your identity when it comes to perhaps friendships, right? Your identity when it comes to how you created your home and all those things. The one area where we're going to be working on here is your identity when it comes to being chosen, your identity when it comes to choosing yourself in love, your identity when it comes to understanding that you will be loved unconditionally for exactly who you are. Okay, so if any of this resonates, subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Bye.